All right, so if you have the page open that we've been describing here, let's go ahead and walk through some of the steps that we just described. Over here under the method, we're going to start with looking at means rather than proportions. So we're going to click on the means button, and that's going to automatically change us to a normal setting and to a Z with sigma setting, which we don't really need to worry about right now. What's more important is to change the value here of mu. So we're going to say we have a population mean of 50. We'll keep the standard deviation of the population as 10, and we'll keep the sample size n as 100. And finally, we're going to keep the number of intervals that we generate at 1. So, as we said before, we have two graphs over here. The last sample is going to record for us what happens when we click this sample button, and it's also going to give us the sample statistics for that particular sample. Let's go ahead and keep the confidence level at 95%, and let's go ahead and generate one sample. So when I click on this button here, notice what happens. So this is the one interval that has been randomly generated. You can see here from the right side of the screen, the mean is just past 50, and if you were to actually look here at this left side graph, that tiny little dot, which is right around 50, is giving us the center of that interval. Okay, and this histogram is reflecting the fact that that the sample size is n equal 100. So we've got 100 different values here listed in this histogram, and then you can see over here that the sample statistics are being recorded as a single block. All right, if I continue to do this, notice how the running totals will begin to change. Right, so I'm going to do one more. You can see now that this little green bar has shifted a little bit to the right because the mean is a little bit larger now. And you can see here that the number of intervals that contain the population mean of 50 is 1 out of 1 for this last random generation, and it's 2 out of 2, which is including not only this sample that we just generated, but the one before that. So we can continue to do this, and you'll notice that most of the samples that we generate, most of the intervals that we generate, is going to quote-unquote cover the population mean of 50 because it's on top of this vertical bar right here, which represents the population mean of 50. And I can continue to do that, and you can see that each sample is displaying here the histogram and also the sample statistics. You can see in this last one, this particular sample just barely covers the population mean. And you can continue to do this, and what's going to happen is that most of the time you're going to get a green bar, but once in a while you're going to get a red bar. And notice what this is telling us. The mean here is 52.322, so the mean of this particular sample of size 100 is right here at about 52.322, and the interval does not actually capture or cover the population mean of 50. So most of them are going to be green because they're going to cover the population mean, but then occasionally you're going to get red ones like we saw a minute ago, and you may have to click several times before you actually get a red one. There's another one. Notice this is telling me that I have actually generated 37 different samples, each with a click of this button up here. 35 out of 37 of them actually contained the population mean of 50. 2 of them, this one here and the other red bar that you saw before, did not. And so this is telling me that 94.6% of the random intervals that I generated covered the population mean of 50. So let's stop the video here, and then let's go ahead and go back and do a little bit more reading, and then come back and play with this a little bit more in a minute.